For 3 seasons with the Saints from 1986 through 1988 when they had their first success here under Coach Jim Moore. Of course, Moore coached him in the USFL with the Stars of Philadelphia and Baltimore. And of course, he was the member of those first 2 winning seasons that the Saints ever had in franchise history. Got drafted by the Eagles first in the 9th round of the 1981 NFL Draft, and then had a chance to come here and play here, and he loves it here. That's why he's still here. And I don't know about him running a 4.25, maybe a 4.4 or something like that. Just ask him. He might be able to fib a little bit. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Chuck Commiskey. Chuck.
Thank you, Kenny.
Take it out of there if you want.
Take it out.
Oh, sure. You just hold it. There you go.
Technical things. I'd like to thank the quarterback club and Ken for asking me to be here today, and it's great to be up here with you guys. Coach, it's a good thing that they didn't have those kind of standards at Ole Miss when I was coming out, because our entire team would not have been eligible to go to Tulane. It's got to be tough, but I respect you guys. I see you guys working out, and I watch the heart of the kids, and it's got to be frustrating at times, but you got to persevere. Coach Becknell, pretty impressive 6-0. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, AFL, NFL, SEC, wherever. 6-0 is 6-0, and that's a great tribute to him and his kids. Skylar, you said something about a big game in November. I thought you were talking about the one about those LSU Tigers and
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. I thought you were talking about the Mississippi Black Bears. We used to be rebels. I don't know what we are now. But I guess I'm supposed to be here to talk about the Saints. A great win we had yesterday, I think. I've heard a lot of comments today in the streets and some yesterday afternoon. Man, we barely got by. And I want to tell everybody, it's like, you know what? Think back 4 years ago. We would have been happy to have lost that game that closely. Our standards have changed, haven't they? And that's a great thing, I can assure you. Now, having said that, I'm a homer. All right, I grew up in Pascagoula, Mississippi. I've got a T-shirt from the first right guard the Saints ever had, a cat named Dell Williams. I don't know if any of you guys remember him, but it's a fond memory. I think his third mother-in-law was my father's secretary at the Ingalls Shipyard, something like that. But that's offensive line. We have a little trouble with those relationships, man. Anyway, but being a homer, I didn't really felt like the officials were terrible yesterday. I mean, Cam Newton, they're throwing roughing the passer call every time you turn around. I said, man, these guys took harder hits than that in a week of decadence down in the quarters. Come on, put a dress on him and give him a dance card or something. Anyway, but you got to admit that it's pretty impressive, the things that kid's doing, and it's going to turn out to be, it looks like with his skill factor, it's going to be a great game every time we play them. So I felt like it was a great win yesterday. I guess we need to address that quarterback thing. It's, Drew Brees. He needs to work, fine-tune a couple of things, maybe 16 more games, he'll pass Johnny Unitas in the all-time touchdown. But on a football note, I guess I would say that I feel like it starts with your quarterback, and obviously he's on a track to be in the Hall of Fame. So he played that way yesterday. I felt like the running game, it takes a while to develop a personality in running game. I think they have 3 great backs, and it's amazing to me that that Coach Payton and the offensive coaches have seemed to be able to merge all 3 of them in there effectively, and nobody can really key on one certain guy. Having said that, this league has turned into a passing game, so I mean, you don't see the opportunities for the Dalton Hilliards and the Reuben Mazes and those kind of running backs anymore, but we certainly have 3 guys that can bust it up in between the tackles as well as hit around the corner. The receiving core is solid with Devery Henderson and Colston, Lance Moore. Those guys, I mean, they're just really. It's exciting to be a Saints fan. The line, I think, really speaking from my perspective, I was a little worried that when we let Stinchcomb go, because sometimes I feel like you get experience outweighs youth and talent. But as things have gone, Zach Streif got hurt. He was playing pretty well. But Charles Brown has really stepped up, and it looks like, he's going to pay off dividends and using a high pick for him. He's struggling a little bit on certain techniques, I think, but those are things that you can't teach on the practice field. You only gain them by experience, and he's, for the most part, I think he's doing pretty effective. The center situation has been the same there. I saw a couple of times yesterday. It looked like they blew some protections, and that purely comes from a cohesiveness that only is rooted in repetition. The kicking game is, Casey, was a heck of an addition. It's a bad deal that we lost Garrett Hartley for the season, but Casey certainly has stepped in and filled in well. And Sproles, what a find. That's just like, geez. He's pretty impressive. And I got to tell you, you don't think about it, but the guys that kick off and kick field goals, I think that's going to be affected in the games because they're going to have to drill it every time to kick it out of the end zone to keep him from returning the ball. And that'll take its wear and tear in the end of the season. The defense, a lot of people question the linebacker core, question the defensive backs. I guess it's because I'm an old lineman, but I just feel like we just don't quite seem to have as much push as we should up the center right now. Having said that, Greg Williams is a package type coach. He doesn't appear to be somebody that's going to take a 4-3 defense and stop you. He's going to take 22 guys, 23 guys, and whatever those guys do best, he's going to package them up, put them out there on the field, and come up with a plan to stop you. I'm a little leery going into next week's game because San Fran just pounced the Buccaneers, and they're going to be trying to right their ship, so to speak. But I think they're certainly not unbeatable. I think if you would have said 4 years ago who were the top 3 teams in the NFL, and somebody would have said that New Orleans Saints were in that top 3, you would have said you're crazy. And today, I think you got to say New Orleans Saints are better than New England Patriots and Tom Brady, and that's a great place. And I got to tell you, it wouldn't matter to me if we were 8-8, because all it takes is getting in the door of the playoffs, and then you're on the road. I guess that's about all I got to say. Any questions? I didn't hear the first part of the question. What?
No, they threw a flag on what's the rule? How the rule is winning?
Well, I don't think the official could quite see the contact because that dress was flowing in the wind that he was wearing. I have no clue. And I'm an offensive lineman. It goes against the grain of me to argue for a defensive lineman to be able to hit the quarterback. I mean, it made no sense to me. I believe it had to do with helmet to helmet. But the second one was just, unless there was something that happened on the ground after the camera cut away, I have no clue. I mean, it looked like looked like a football play to me. And if he's going to run the ball, he's going to get hit. Any other questions? Well, you see Drew, he'll walk up and he'll go through his cadence and he'll point at somebody and then he'll back up and he'll raise his leg. That gives them a chance to try to see if they're going to show anything on their stunts or that effect. But when he points at somebody, they take that and other teams have different names they call it. We used to call it Mike. When he points at Mike is 54. Everybody from here back, we are responsible for, and he's responsible for everybody to the front side. So you take a person and a gap. You take somebody lined up on you or to the gap side, you have that protection. Now, if everybody drops out, then you better look away because if somebody's not hitting you, something's fixing to hit you in the back of the head, I can assure you. But I don't know if that answers your question or not. But one thing I think the Saints may be having a little bit of trouble with is Olin Krutz is a new center. He's used to, it's the same kind of protection, but when you're thinking about things, you just got to naturally flow and react. And he's thinking about how they call it in Chicago so if they call it 400 protection, we should call that 38. So and you can get confused when they change the numbers because they'll walk people up and he'll see something and he'll yell kill, 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 and he'll change it all up and you got to be able to do it on the fly. And the fact that he is new and then Delaquinte just got thrown in there is I think might be some of the seemingly non-communication along the line, but I think they're getting better every week. I'm sorry? Shockey? Well, first of all, how would Jim Moore have treated Shockey? Hell, we don't do that on my team. It's a business, Marie, and it's, I guess Atlanta Falcons, to me, I seem like we were always fighting with them. I mean, personally, Buddy Curry, grabbing by the face mask because he was poking me in the eye and stuff like that, But for the most part, just because Shockey's making obscene, he's just not making his mom and daddy proud, That old saying, God don't like ugly,
Anybody else? That's it?
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate y'all having me out.